Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tipsy Ghosts. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsay.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Have you guys been watching anything good on Netflix lately?
I've seen a couple things on there, but I really can't remember what they were.
There's been a lot of good documentaries that came out recently.
Yeah, I feel like I watched like a 4-part documentary. I don't know. What have you seen? Maybe it'll jog my memory.
I saw The Most Hated Man on the Internet.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I watched.
And then I Just Killed My Dad.
I watched both of those. Yes.
We're on the same page. Winston, have you seen these?
I'm still in the middle of Inventing Anna.
Oh, that's a good one too. I
Yeah.
did love
I'm
that.
behind on the times.
That's okay.
Just playing catch up.
You're loving Inventing Anna though, right? Or Anna.
I love her accent is what I like.
It's bizarre, right?
She deserves an Emmy for that because that is impressive.
For sure.
She sounds just like her.
She does.
I Googled it because actually I thought her accent was kind of annoying. And I was like, what is it? I couldn't figure out what it was supposed
Nobody
to
knows
be, but
what it
no. Turns out that's exactly what the real person sounded like. So tell us about the documentaries that you've been watching.
So The Most Hated Man on the Internet is about Hunter Moore.
Yes.
And my timeline might be off. 2012?
Yeah, it's like the 2010 era.
The
Have I
emo
had a stroke
scene.
tonight? What is wrong with me?
It's like the scene movement, and he basically had like a revenge porn website up where people could upload photos of like nudes that were sent to them, and he would take it a step further and post their social medias, so it would have like their name, their address, where they worked, all these things.
I did watch this.
Yes.
It was fascinating and also terrible.
It was. Yeah. I watched it too. I loved it. And it was during the MySpace era. So like getting people's photos and stuff, I think was a little bit easier. This was like when the internet was still just kind of I don't want to say new thing, but it was like completely unregulated. I know that there is a lot of sites that don't have regulations still, but it was just a free for all.
Well, and they got him on it because he was hacking into people's like personal email accounts and getting these photos. So they weren't like sent to anybody.
Yeah. And then if you watched his interviews on the documentary, then you can just figure it out pretty quickly that he's just kind of a turd.
Yeah.
He's
The
a
most
terrible
frustrating
person.
thing to me is the lack of remorse
No
for
remorse.
how this affects the people involved.
No, he doesn't
It's
care
the
at all.
most frustrating thing.
He still doesn't.
Exactly.
Like I kind of did some research on him afterwards to see like where is he now, because you know he's out of jail. He didn't do very long, and he's still a terrible person. It looks like
Perfect.
still has no remorse for it.
Yeah.
He said like the closest thing I found, he said was like, I would do things differently.
Oh,
I'd go about it a different way, but I would still do it.
Right, exactly
He's
is
a
what he was trying to
sociopath,
say.
for sure. He has
Yes.
no emotions about it.
Mhm.
But the other one that you talked
Oh my
about,
gosh, that ripped
that
my
was
heart
an
out.
emotional journey. I wasn't ready for that one.
So this one is about a 17-year-old who calls 911 and says, I just killed my dad. And like police were stunned because he had a very flat affect and like wasn't showing remorse or any emotion, sadness, anger, nothing.
Sure.
And everything seemed like completely random. And then they did more digging into it, and you get into abuse and kidnappings and all of this stuff. And it's crazy, the things that happened. And the defense attorney who worked for this kid pro bono, he's like, I will never charge him for anything, broke down crying when the sentence was read. And I was just like happy tears. I don't want to spoil anything.
Now you spoiled it.
Sorry.
No, it's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster, but I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
On that note,
what are we going to talk about tonight?
I would like to talk about the time that Lindsay left Sarah and I to our own devices.
Another haunted investigation.
Yes.
Winston and I went to a little town called Brumley, Missouri.
Brumley, Missouri.
You'd think that it was close because it's also in Missouri, but I mean,
It's southern
it's a hike.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just east of the Lake of the Ozarks, the beautiful Great Lake of the Missouri area.
We love
That's
the
what we
Lake of
call
the
it.
Ozarks with all the dead people.
Yeah. Floating in the water.
Yes.
The hairfish.
Hairfish.
Isn't that the man-made lake?
It is a man-made lake,
And
for
they
sure.
they flooded towns in order to make the lake.
That
So
is true.
theoretically, I bet they flooded a cemetery.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I was about to be like, well, no, I think they warned the people.
Yeah, no,
to
they
get
didn't kill
out.
people. It's just the cemetery, the bones.
This random
That's messed
Tuesday.
up.
Random Tuesday, we
Ha-ha,
decided.
too late.
Oh, you guys didn't read the email? My bad.
But listen, the Ozarks can be a little bit of a creepy place.
They are a creepy place.
Yeah.
It's I like to tell people, because Missouri has a bad rap sometimes.
Sure.
And I like to tell people there's different types of Missouri. And we come from like city Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot different than country Missouri, like rural Missouri.
Right.
Have you seen the meme where it's like the state of Missouri and it goes, Missouri has 2 big towns and they're both trying to escape the state because Kansas City is on the border
sides.
and St. Louis is on the border.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like people from small town Missouri that would say the same thing, that like small town Missouri is totally different than
Big city Missouri.
big city, I guess.
Yeah.
The big city of Kansas City.
Medium-sized city,
Yeah,
Missouri.
exactly. But small town Missouri, I mean this with the most respect that I can say, is very scary sometimes.
It's unique.
Yeah.
Yes.
I lived in small town Missouri for a while. It's scary.
In that, like, it's so remote
Mm-hmm.
that you just feel like anything could happen, and there's not another town for at least 20 miles. And there's been enough like scary movies set in the tiny towns, and
The
not
rural.
necessarily Missouri, but like, yes, just these like little tiny towns. And the scary movies are very scary about them.
The scary movies are very scary.
And
They
then
are.
Join us for more insight. Hear the
Small-
Tipsy Ghost.
Yes.
small town Missouri is even a lot different than like backwoods Missouri.
Backwoods, Missouri.
That's where you get into some really scary territory.
I feel like we were approaching backwoods
I felt like it.
Missouri.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have cell phone service? That's always a good sign. If
Not
you do.
always.
No, they did have Wi-Fi set up
okay,
there, so
that's
that
good.
worked out great.
That's
yeah.
good.
And I mean, all the credit to the home. Where did we go?
We went to the Brumley Castle
Yes.
in
A
Brumley,
castle.
Missouri.
A castle in Missouri. Who'd have thunk it?
It's
I
called
love
the
that they call it that.
it's called the Castle House
Yeah.
because it's not really a castle. It just has a turret on the side, which it's not even a turret.
It's just a round-
a rounded corner.
Like a bay window.
All the way up the side.
Yeah, it's like rounded corners for one corner of the house.
And then
Okay.
it points at the top, so it does look like a castle,
Like a
okay?
castle. A castle in Missouri.
I see where they were going.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boyce and I spent the night there. We did have a couple in guestavators. Our friend Tony and his 2 kids joined us, actually.
Teenagers, yes.
Yes.
Not like toddlers.
Yeah.
Might be hard to get some evidence.
Thank you for clarifying. It was their first time investigating, and I think they had a good time, and we'll tell their stories here at the end.
Okay. Tell me about Brumley.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah, I think 4 hours.
4-ish hours on the back roads.
Mm-hmm.
Like you drive a regular highway for maybe an hour and
A
then
regular highway.
then like back highways.
Windy roads.
Windy roads. And it took us through the small town of Tipton, Missouri, and that's where my new favorite store is. It's we've talked about it before, I think. We've mentioned
Yeah,
it.
we did mention it, so we'll keep it brief. But yeah, we did go through
It's where all the
Tipton.
cement statues are, and that's where I got my alien statue.
Alan.
Mhm.
Alan the alien.
Alan, yes. Mhm.
Alan needs an Eileen.
Aileen.
Aileen.
Yes.
Aileen.
Yeah, so we had a long drive down there. We vlogged, and we're gonna give the footage to Lindsay to sort through and then post.
I can't wait for you to
Wait,
see it.
the vlog of you at Brumley, or were you at Tipton?
On the way down, we vlogged on the way, like on the road,
Oh, okay.
and also at Brumley.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
So a long drive, and we got to Brumley.
We did to the Castle House.
Do you want to hear about Brumley?
I would love to hear about
Yes.
Brumley.
Again, I'd love to.
It rhymes with crumbly. That's all I can think of.
It
It does.
kind of.
Is it
Yeah.
crumbling?
Not
No.
anymore.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, it's in good shape now.
The current building is.
I meant the town.
Oh, I don't know that we ever made it into the actual town.
I think that was it.
Was that the town?
The road up, there was 3 houses.
There was like a diner, like a bar.
A diner, yeah.
Was there a McDonald's or a Dairy Queen?
Absolutely not.
No.
Oh, might be the smallest town we've done then.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually might be.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Garnett was, but no. Or actually even Malvern. but-
Shall we Google
no.
the population?
What about Villisca?
Oh, smaller.
Villisca actually had multiple roads. You know, maybe we just weren't in Brumley.
Here's the thing. In 2020, the population of Brumley, Missouri was 100.
Oh, Brumley wins.
She a small one. Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, let's hear about it.
Okay, the history is from the Brumley Castle House website, and it might differ from past accounts that you could see on TV shows. So this house has been on a show called The Dead Files. And I think they were there before the current owners took over. So there is a little bit of difference in the history. And this is because the previous owner had some beliefs and had kind of word of mouth stories. And what the current owners have been able to validate through historical records is a little different. And so what I'm going to tell you is what has been validated through records by the current owners.
Okay.
But honestly, the house only knows what the actual history is. So we're just going to go through a list of the previous owners because there are a lot. These ones, there's going to be quite a few before the current house was actually built. So in 1812, Sarah Lee, fun fact, Lee was almost my middle name.
Was it?
It was. My dad said, no, she's going to get made fun of because of bread.
He's right. That's exactly what I thought.
I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking.
It must be a Sarah thing.
I was thinking Lindsay is a much better name.
You and my dad both.
Then Lee.
Yeah. Well,
Lee's a family name.
but he's right. You would have been made fun of, I'm sure.
Yes.
I love it. I'm sorry.
So thanks, Dad. So Sarah Lee is the first recorded owner of the land, but she never actually lived there. And that's in 1812. 1836 to 1875, Reverend Jacob Shaw McComb Sr. was a farmer, a teacher, and a minister, and served in the Union just briefly in 1861. The Union back in 1961.
Whew, the Union lasted a long time.
It did. They're solid. His first wife, Emily, died on the property at the age of 40, as did one of their 10 children, a 5-week-old John G.
Aw.
Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
Oh, boy. I knew that was happening.
He remarried and had 6 more kids with a lady by the name of Julianne. And she died in Kansas at the age of 35. And then he married again to a lady named Eva. But she never actually lived on the property, which might have been good for her. So the owner said, I thought it was a little suspicious that he's had 3 wives and 1,000 kids.
16. Good Lord.
Yeah, but they said that back in those days, like, you needed
Right.
assistance, especially with, it's now 15 kids because John G. died.
That's right.
Oh, sorry.
But you needed a woman of the house.
Got it.
So Eva never lived on the property. Reverend McComb died in Oregon at the age of 92. We're just going through a timeline of the property. 1875 to 1883, Dr. John Connor was, of course, a doctor, but also a coroner and a teacher.
The fun kind of doctor.
Yeah.
I think it was that in addition to other types of doctoring, I believe.
So he had an office and an apothecary shop on the property and would have both treated patients and prepared bodies.
Rose Apothecary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He started Rose Apothecary.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
He is Dr. John Rose Apothecary Connor, and he started Rose Apothecary.
David is his great
Yes.
times 10 grandson. Got it.
So he had 3 kids with his wife, Elnora, one of whom died at the age of 16. 1885 to 1893, John Martin was a merchant, a farmer, and an innkeeper, owning the Martin Hotel. And he might have been the builder of the house, but you'll soon find out that there were several possible builders of the house. They don't know who built it. So, like, the next 5 people might have built the house.
Somebody
they all
will
claim.
Yes. He played the fiddle, and his wife, Franny, played the organ. They had their own little band.
I play the fiddle, you play the organ.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
John and Franny. Wait, you're going to like this.
Oh, wait.
It's comical, but it's also sad.
Okay.
It's okay to laugh because
we specialize in the comically
that's
sad.
how we cope with comically sad. It reminds me of something that Sarah said whenever we were in Dallas. They had 8 children, including twins, Love and Dove, who were stillborn. I have to get through this sentence.
What are you laughing? You should have started with stillborn, so then we're not laughing.
Okay, they had 8 children, including twins who were stillborn and buried within 1,000 feet of the property. Their names were Love and Dove.
Sarah, you good?
I forgot about the twins.
Oh, at the cemetery in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm
The
not
Cemetery
nice.
of Infants, is that what it was?
A cemetery of lost infants or something like
Yeah.
What did I name them? June?
In May?
May and June.
Because I said June. Like, one of them was named June. I said the other one, you went May.
Oh, no.
It was better than August or July.
You know, I thought it was cute. Okay.
I really missed an opportunity when I named my children.
You honestly did.
I mean, I
If
did.
it's not rhyming or like back-to-back months, then
What was I thinking? What, they were born in May.
Oh my god. What would they? What would
April and May.
Oh, obviously.
They were born at the beginning of May, so we got to go with April.
Okay. Well, thanks for reminding me that I am not a great person.
All right. 1893 to 1902, Clifford Thompson was the postmaster in Miller County.
The
Cool.
master of posts.
Master of Post. He is one of the other possible builders of the house.
Do you think they all just built like a couple bricks at a time?
Mm-hmm. So they're all
Yeah.
the builders.
I get it.
His teamwork. He had 3 children with his first wife, Belle.
Oh, I love that name.
1901 to 1907, James Thompson was a merchant and another possible builder of the house. He had 4 kids with his wife, Victoria. All right, 1907 to 1916, Joseph McWilliams was a miller, a foreman at the post office, owner of an electric company, and fun fact, he was the owner of the first car in Brumley.
He's a jack of all trades.
He was also another potential
Ooh.
builder of the house.
Of course he was.
Of course he was.
He and his wife, Sarah,
Huh?
had 4 kids. 1916 to 1919, Clyde Fred Pemberton was a farmer, a salesman, and an oil field worker. He also had a wife named Sarah, but she went by Carrie.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I
It's a
don't
common
know.
nickname.
I'm going to call you Carrie from now on.
Please don't.
Forget points then.
Unless I'm covered
Call
in
me-
blood, please don't call me Carrie.
I think it's cool.
Carrie agrees.
I hate it. No.
Okay, fine.
They had 5 children.
Okay. Sarah was a very common name I have found.
Still is, weirdly enough.
In 1920 to 1928, Charles Short was a teacher, a banker, and a politician. I feel like back in the day you had to have 3 jobs in order to succeed.
Probably in Brumley, right? Because they don't have enough people there to run a post office and
A bank,
A
and
bank.
the school,
the bar
and be the mayor.
and build houses.
Yeah. He had 2 kids with his wife, Cora, who was also a school teacher. 1928 to 1930, Dr. Walter Duncan Dixon from Canada.
Duncan Dickinson. I can't even say it.
He and his wife, Grace, had 2 children, and they had I don't know how to take this, a quote, hired hand. I don't know. Her name was also Grace.
Maybe like a nanny?
Okay. I like that more than what I was thinking.
Okay.
Dr. Dixon died of a heart attack in the house. So by now the house is built.
I
Okay.
hope so.
It's built.
In
No more
1930. So 1930 to 1935, Dr. Dixon's son, James, took over the home. He also had 3 jobs, a mailman, a prison guard, and a timekeeper.
What's a timekeeper?
He keeps time.
He walks around.
It is 7:33. 7:33, everyone.
Just need you to know. Oh, it took
Ringing
you,
an alarm.
took you 1 minute to walk from that to there.
I will
I
let
have
you know
kept your time.
when it is 8.
He was the clock.
I want to be a timekeeper.
Instead of a town clock, he just stood at the top of a building and hollered out the time every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
What did you do, like, pre-megaphone, though?
He just yelled really loud.
Toilet paper roll?
It's like the town crier.
Yeah.
I just yell really loud.
Paul Revere.
Yes.
He was Paul Revere.
He rode
Yes.
around on a horse or in a car with his...
It is 7 p.m. It is 7 p.m. Everybody, it is 7 p.m.
It's 2 a.m.
When did he sleep?
He did it. He's the timekeeper, the keeper of time.
He can never sleep.
It's a very important job.
Oh, boy. He had a wife named Layla, but she went by Chloe, and they had 4 children.
Okay.
Timekeeping didn't give him a lot of sleep, and so he was an alcoholic.
Aw.
And he was said to have anger issues
Oh.
with how slowly time passed.
Maybe let's not trust an alcoholic to keep the time.
That's too much pressure for him. Keeping that time.
Yes. You have to be so accurate. Is it a sundial? What if you interpret it wrong?
Sundial.
I don't know how the 30s were.
I'm pretty sure they had like pocket watches.
I don't know how the 30s were. He whips out his pocket watch.
But what if it's slow?
Oh. Yeah, how do you know?
Why do you need a timekeeper? They keep the time.
But he only has a pocket watch.
No,
I feel
he
like
probably has multiple.
you would double check with the sundial.
He's got a sundial, and every day at noon, he double checks his pocket watch to make sure it's accurate.
When he rides around on his horse. Good news, everybody. We are up to date.
And hollers the time.
Yes.
See,
He'd be slurring his words.
that
by
was
then.
too much pressure for him. He
Yep.
couldn't handle it.
I'm crying.
Anyway, so he once showed up at the post office. He was drunk. He had a gun. He was threatening to kill some guy named Audie Warren because he thought Audie got him fired from the post office. Probably not because he was drunk or that he got the time wrong. I don't know.
It wasn't any of those things, but okay.
Right.
So, not a nice guy.
But then a Dr. Myron Jones, who we learn about in a minute, was there. He disarmed him and brought the gun back to Chloe, the wife. And then Chloe took the gun and sold it back to the original owner.
A lot of passing around of the gun.
Well, she had to sell it back. She's
She's like,
like,
hot potato.
he doesn't need this while
I
he's
mean, I
on
get
the
that.
horse. He's already double fisting his alcohol and the reins and
Is
his
that a
pocket
DUI?
watch. Drive RUI,
OUI? Operating?
riding under the influence.
RUI?
RUI. So then in 1935, James Dixon sold the house to our new friend, savior of the day, Dr. Myron Jones.
Oh, thank God. We got there.
Yeah, so 1935 to 1947, Dr. Jones practiced medicine in Brumley and was the president of the American College of Osteopathic Pediatricians.
Okay.
That's quite the title.
I mean, it's no timekeeper.
Did he have a whole bag full of essential oils?
Well, he treated some big names. I don't know the first one. Erysipelas?
What?
Erysipelas.
Can you spell it?
Erysipelas.
It's a relatively common bacterial infection of the superficial layer of the skin, extending to the lymphatic vessels.
Yeah, that's what I thought
It's
it
a
was.
rash.
Yeah, it's a rash. Sounds icky.
He treated that
Okay.
and scarlet fever, an outbreak in 1936, and a polio outbreak in 1946.
Man.
Good for him.
He built a 9,000-gallon cistern under the house. That, fun fact, remains to this day. Sarah called it the Sistine Chapel.
I did. Yeah.
What is a cistern?
It's a holder of water.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was either, so that's...
The
why I said,
ladies,
oh,
the
like
ladies in
Sistine.
town would all come to wash their hair because it was so large.
Well, it
and
wasn't...
nice.
Yeah, the water quality was better there,
Yes.
is what they said, too.
Okay.
So,
Giant bath.
basically. But it was under...
It was under the house, and so that's what they used as their water.
Gotcha. Okay.
He was elected mayor in 1936.
I don't see why not.
He had 3 children with his first wife, Marjorie, before she died in 1983, and then he remarried a lady named Alma. He died of heart failure in Washington in 1989. In 1947 to 1946, Charles Bass was a merchant and a postmaster. He married Lefty May, and they had 5 children, but one died of the flu at the age of 15 months. Charles later died of cirrhosis in Jefferson City.
Uh-oh.
In 1956 to 1963, William Burt Sullivan was a barber who lived in the house with his wife Norma Cecil Connor, and she was the niece of the previous owner, Dr. John Connor. They had 2 children. Burt died in the house from complications of arthritis. Norma continued living in the house after his death, and she was a seamstress and a cook, and she owned a hat shop. And then she died in the house from 1984 from old age and dementia. In 1984 to 1988, Emerson Alley was the owner of a cleaning service and a Korean War veteran. He was married to Myra. He died of a heart attack in the house, and 2 months later, his wife sold it. And it exchanged hands several more times until 2013. And at that time, 2013 through 2016, Nick Sacco and Marcy Hootner restored the castle house and originally planned on using it as a bed and breakfast. Once they noticed odd occurrences, though, they then used it as a haunted bed and breakfast and held a variety of events there. They ended up selling the home once Marcy saw Nick's doppelganger one night.
Oh, no.
I know we just talked about that in a recent episode. It's a bad omen to see somebody's doppelganger.
Death.
Yeah, it's not good. So they sold it. In 2016 to 2018, Mike and Vicki Rowland continued the haunted bed and breakfast, the ghost tours, and the Festival of Witches and Warlocks, which was a benefit for the HOPE program at the Lake Regional Cancer Center. And then in 2018, current owners Steve and Judy Skinner bought the house. Steve's a dermatologist, adding yet another doctor to the list of homeowners. Steve and Judy plan to continue preservation efforts for the home. They will also continue hosting paranormal investigations, tours, and special events. So, lots of owners, several deaths, both adult and children, a few doctors who saw patients at this location, including one who prepared bodies. So, the house is no stranger to epidemics. We mentioned it briefly, but patients with ailments of the flu of 1936, scarlet fever of 1936, which included Dr. Jones himself. He also had scarlet fever, and polio in 1946, where patients of those ailments were all seen here. A Union Army camp was located about a mile from the property, and the Native American site, Bone Cave, is about 3 miles away. In July of 1971, there was a murder-suicide about 500 yards from the property, where a husband killed his wife and then killed himself. The property is relatively large, and there's a lot to look at, especially if it's July and it's very hot.
True story.
You can see the outline of an old log cabin that used to be there before the house was actually built. So the original house, you can see the outline of that, which is actually pretty cool.
Yes.
There are 2 reported graveyards in the backyard. One, a pioneer graveyard, and the other was a mass grave, which the owners are still working to get more information on. They've found many artifacts in the yard, and most are on display in the house, as well as some treasures that they have bought over the years, which we'll get into just a bit. We'll segue into the house.
Sure.
On the first floor, you walk into a little sitting area, and then you see stairs that go up, or you can go left into the parlor or straight into the dining room.
Yeah, and then that little turret area.
In the little turret area.
I think you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is that where the homeowner who had the arthritis complications, is that where he passed?
Somebody passed there, yes.
Yeah, I think he said that they made a little room up for him down there.
So he didn't have to do the stairs anymore.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so also on the first floor, you can go in through, I guess what would be the dining room.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty small room. And has just a dining room table in there.
For dining, yes.
Yeah, I assume it's for dining.
Is that where they dined?
It's context clues. Yes.
Maybe.
Was there a table and chairs?
If you continue walking through said dining room, there's a kitchen. Nothing too remarkable about the kitchen.
For kitchen.
Yeah, I think you do kitchen stuff in there.
That makes sense.
But then you keep going.
You keep going, and this is where it gets cool.
And what did we call this room? It's basically just a back room. They've got some furniture.
It's kind of like a sunroom.
Yeah.
It feels like a sunroom, but they've got furniture, and they have a lot of the trinkets, the things that he has dug up around the house.
Is this the Indian bone room?
Yes.
We called it the Indian bone room because there are bones, actual bones, both human and animal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also an authentic headdress of a chief.
A Native American chief, yes.
Yes.
And this is also where the door to the Sistine Chapel is.
The Sistine Chapel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So also on the first floor, beside the parlor room, was a bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Which you would think sounds nondescript, but...
Right. If you just continue walking through the bathroom a little bit more, there's a doorway that leads to what we refer to as the creepy room.
The creepy bathroom closet.
There's a creepy room in a bathroom.
That's correct. The
Yeah.
only way you can get there is through the bathroom.
That seems like a terrible idea, builders.
This place was my dream.
The room or
The room.
okay.
It's a small room of things that Steve has bought, such as a small child coffin, actual bones, a real skull, insects in formaldehyde, including both a black widow and a brown recluse.
Yes.
And
No,
a
thank
snake,
you.
a teeny tiny snake.
Nope.
Yep.
Would not have even gone in that room.
Real Ouija boards,
Tarot cards, like pictures, like creepy just pictures hanging up.
things from Africa,
Right.
African tribes.
Okay.
It was a lot.
It's
It
a
was a lot.
hodgepodge. It's a smorgasbord of things.
And
That
it was-
is a true
It was
smorgasbord.
tiny. Like it was probably
Like a closet?
intentionally used for a closet. Yes. But they just use it as this creepy room. And Steve explained that he liked to do scrying in this room from time to time.
Oh, they had a black mirror.
Yes. So they have a black mirror. There's a skull, and it's a real human skull, and it's from a dental school from Scotland.
Interesting.
And he has a picture of people from the dental school from, I don't know, 100 years ago up on the wall. So just lots of bizarre, macabre trinkets.
Like I
Okay.
said, this is my dream.
He's a collector.
Yeah, he is a collector.
So we go upstairs, and it's the narrowest stair. Well, it's not, because we've been to Malvern.
Malvern is the worst staircase.
It's a pretty narrow and
It's-
steep staircase.
It's maybe almost as narrow as Malvern, but it's open. Like there's, you know how in Malvern it's like closed on both sides. This one at least has an open balcony type thing, so you don't feel so entrapped. But anyhow, you get up to the top and there's another, what would you call that? Sitting room?
yeah.
At the top of the stairs?
And this is where they say one of the doctors saw patients. And so it's kind of like a medical room. It's my second favorite room in the
Yeah,
house.
I liked this one.
There's lots of medical artifacts and
of
trinkets.
course.
And in a little, it's like a large case, are the nicer or more impressive things
Yeah.
that he has found during his
property.
digs on the property. And in the turret corner, he has a table with a Ouija board.
The cool medical thing, though, there was a set of crutches from the Civil War.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
That's
Those are
impressive.
old crutches.
That's awesome.
And so then there's this hallway. It's a long hallway. It's got a mirror at the end, and
Mhm.
he's gotten several anomalies whenever he's taken photos of the mirror or around the mirror. We didn't catch anything, but
But
he
we want
says
to.
that's like a high spirit traffic area.
Okay.
And then there are 3 bedrooms, one called the white bedroom because the bedding is white.
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
Clever.
And in that room, he says that the door has opened.
Yes. And they've caught video of the handle jiggling
Mm-hmm.
and the door opening. It jiggles.
That's exactly where my brain went. My money don't
does-
jiggle.
It folds. Yes, that's where that happens.
This is what our society has become.
On the other side of the hallway is the red bedroom, and that's where they say that the most activity is, and that's where Sarah and I slept.
There's an adjoining closet between the white and the red bedroom.
There is, and it has a mirror. It's a scrying mirror. It's from
really creepy.
Bavaria.
Okay.
Like it's old. It's from,
I don't know. It looks like a clown or a jester.
I think it's from a church.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like heaven and hell, but there's I don't know.
I think it's from a church in Bavaria. It was very unique.
Yeah.
But also another area for scrying.
Mm-hmm.
And so that closet goes between the white bedroom and the red bedroom.
Okay.
And into either bedroom, but mostly the red bedroom, it's said that the closet door the knob will turn and the door will open, and sometimes it'll slam shut.
Yep. And Steve says that this is where he had the most profound experience, right when they bought the house and before they had kind of, fixed it up and made it look like it is now. So he was afraid of squatters or transients being there when he was not at the house, because they don't live here full time. They just come and go. But they were coming back, and he stayed in the red bedroom, and he said that he was sleeping and was awoke by loud banging on the door, that closet door that adjoins the two. So much so that he sat up in bed and basically grabbed his gun and thought somebody was in the house with him.
Yeah.
And he says that was probably the scariest thing that's happened to him there.
That would be terrifying to be woken up by that.
So you round the corner and down that hall, there's a closet. At the end of that hall, there's a bathroom with a shower. And then on your right is, we call it the children's room. I don't know that children actually stayed there, but it's a room with a bed and lots of dolls.
And pictures of one of the family's kids, one of the doctor's kids.
Yes.
Doll room. Love it.
The doll room.
Every haunted house needs a good doll room.
A good doll room.
I will say just off the side of the parlor is kind of an apartment area, and that's where the owners stay.
Yeah.
Downstairs. Behind the house are both graveyards, both the mass grave and also a graveyard with different headstone type markers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are just like rocks that mark the site, and so they're trying
markers.
They're doing a lot of research to see who's there or who it might be.
So there's also like a chicken coop back there.
There's a chicken coop
for the chickens.
Yes, they're non-existent right now.
You can walk to it's
chickens.
a long way away, but you can walk to the very edge of the property line, and that's very close to where the Union camp was.
Right.
There's just a lot of history there.
Yeah.
And it's very fascinating.
For sure.
And so we stayed overnight there and we investigated.
Awesome. Okay.
We can start in the front area. So as soon as you walk in, like we said, there's an entryway with a sitting area off to the side and the turret. And underneath the stairs is a closet.
Yep.
And
there's a closet underneath the stairs?
Yeah, we called it the Harry Potter closet.
Oh my gosh. I'm so jealous.
I called it the Yahtzee closet because there was Yahtzee in there.
No, it's the Harry Potter closet.
And
I called it the Harry Potter
closet.
closet.
I love Yahtzee.
No, you're wrong. It's the Harry Potter closet.
Okay.
Any closet under the
Harry
stairs.
Potter. It's
Any
true.
closet under the stairs.
So in the Harry Potsy closet, Sarah and I were both in there. I did Phasma, and some of the things that I came up with are a few names, Seth and Kamisha.
Mm-hmm.
That is a unique name.
It is. It's somebody said, "Can you say one of our names?" And it said no. We say they're friends, and then Sarah hears movement with her spirit ears, and the Phasma box says Jesus. They say, "How many people do you live with?" And the Phasma box says, "My husband." Somebody says, "What was his name?" And we hear Joseph. There's a shrine, which a lot of areas in that house can maybe be interpreted as shrines because there's so many artifacts there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was interesting. The K2, this is just a fun fact. The K2 went off with a lot of the responses. Like Sarah or Tony and his kids would say the K2's going off, and then you would hear me say something that I was hearing.
And they were not by each other.
No, they really weren't. And then Sarah heard a door slam, and then I heard like a faint thud, and then I say, "He says he's here." And then it says Eisenhower.
Uh-huh.
After I say, "He says he's here."
Yeah, because I said, "Ooh, that's a fancy name."
Mm-hmm.
The president.
Eisenhower is here.
We got another president in the room.
He's
Sorry,
feeling
Abe.
jealous that Abe's our favorite.
And then somebody asked, just curious if you can, it sounds like Sarah, just curious if you can see what we see. And I say, I can't.
That is definitely me.
So then Sarah takes her turn with the Phasma box in the Harry Potsy closet. I knock into something while she's in there. And Sarah says, "Who is that?" And you can hear me say, "Wait, are you talking to me?" But she can't hear anything. She's just hearing the Phasma. So somebody said, "Who is that?" after I knocked into something.
They're like, "Can you not?"
Stop it.
And then you hear the names Samantha, Eric, and Jesse. And then she says Buffalo. And then she says Running Buffalo, which one of the guys there thought maybe that could have been the name of the chief,
Mm-hmm.
whose headdress was in the room just a few rooms over.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then she says 39 men were left here. And somebody asks, "In the war?" And she says yes. And then she says it's an interesting time. Another name is Harvey. And she says, "I want to get out of here." And then she says, "He died. His heart was bad." Somebody asked, do you like the people who live here? And she says no one lives here, which is true because they don't live there full time. They just kind of visit whenever they can.
You're getting complete sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Long ones.
And then during that, I hear a noise. I don't know what it was, like a cry, a moan, a whine. I'm honestly really not sure what it was, but it's something.
What? What? What?
I got almost the exact same thing. I just wanted to point out that you also got the word Jesse when you were in your Phasma box time. And then I did mention during my time that I felt the egg crack feeling on my head.
Oh, okay.
So that's my tell right there. And I mentioned the name Bert during my Phasma box time, which is one of the owners.
Mm-hmm. Then we move into the dining area. Sarah and I went in July, and there are window AC units,
which we
all
are
over the
thankful
place.
for.
Oh my gosh, so grateful.
It was so hot that day.
I love not being hot.
I love air conditioning.
And I was very appreciative. However, it did make getting audio evidence
True.
a little difficult. And so we had about a 20-minute recording, and all I could hear was the AC.
Yeah, I had one too. But I will say we did use the SLS camera because the owner let us use it, which we saw, I think, a figure pop up just briefly near the piano. And we were also using cat toys, motion detectors, the music box, our new music box, by the way. I wrote down, I asked about 1,000 questions and got nothing on the recorder.
And that was in the parlor?
Yeah.
The Backbone Indian Room.
Yes.
Did you get anything while we were out at dinner?
I got like a weird reverberating noise and a loud bang at one point, but you mentioned the owners were there and kind of moving around a little bit, and I might hear them then. So that's all I really got was the weird reverberating noise that I caught it actually twice.
I didn't really catch too many vibes in the bone room, but it was definitely an interesting place. It was cool.
Now to my favorite room of the house, the spooky bathroom closet.
The spooky bathroom closet.
We have a few recordings from there. And the first one that I have, I say that I feel something crawling on my leg. And then Sarah's like, yeah, I did too earlier. So
I just wanted to be included.
I had that too. You didn't ask. But earlier I had it. You didn't even notice.
Then we were there with our friends and we were doing Phasma Box. We all introduced ourselves and then you hear the Phasma Box say, hi.
Aw.
And then some other things are, indeed, this is my house. Names like Jack, Matt, and PJ. And then I'm really tired. We asked, do you have a nickname? And it said a nickname. Or do you have a name? And it said a nickname.
Clever.
And then who's there? We said, what year is it right now? And they said, I don't know. Some other responses are, I think they're retired, which the current owner, one of them is retired. And then I'm only going to talk a little. But the most interesting thing that I have is an EVP. It's actually a pretty good one. It's after somebody says, is there anything in here you're attached to? Because remember, this is the room that there's lots of things here. And so there's Phasma Box in the background, but underneath the background is an EVP that I think says God.
Yeah.
So is there anything where you're attached to? God.
Is there anything in here that you're attached to?
Good one.
Other things in here, like the K2 flickered, and then suddenly tons of voices came through at the same time. You really couldn't differentiate between them, but still interesting that K2, we usually don't get anything with our K2.
So I have one of the recordings from when we were giving Tony and his kids the tour of the house. So you can hear footsteps on the recorder. I'm assuming it's us, but you can hear them. I wasn't sure. And then at one point I hear, sounds like a man's voice saying something. I can hear it with my headphones in, but when I'm playing it back just on my speakers on my computer, I can't really hear it that great.
So maybe hard to isolate.
Yeah, definitely hard to isolate. And it sounds like something's moving the recorder, kind of like what you were talking about, like reverb or I'm not really sure. And
it's almost like someone bumps up against it.
Yes, it does. So we did leave a recorder in the closet overnight. We left it on the Ouija board, of course. And again, I mentioned that I heard several bathroom breaks. I heard lots of loud bangs I can't exactly tell where they're coming from. We were going to bed around this time, so it may be everybody getting settled. But once everybody was settled, then I do hear a couple of knocks and taps that are close to the recorder. I hear what I just described as a loud noise. And then about halfway through, the birds enter the chat. And then I can hear chirping for most of that recording. For the next recording, which is literally just half of it, we split it in half, so easier to listen to. A few quiet taps, knocks, movements, thuds, footsteps, and I put there is a lot of fast taps that are really close to the recorder. And then a weird animal noise that is like drowning out everything for several minutes.
Okay, let's go upstairs to I call it the second floor main area. This is where like the doctor stuff is and the Ouija board is.
The crutches.
The crutches, yes. So like Sarah said earlier, we did the SLS throughout the night and we see something in the doorway of the white bedroom that responded to requests like raise one arm, raise both arms. Like it was actually responsive. So I thought it was pretty cool that it was responding to us on the SLS.
Yeah.
We did. We asked it to do it several times, and it did a lot. It even went up on the ceiling at one point.
It did.
No,
that's
absolutely
kind of
not.
spooky. We were like, can you please come down?
Yeah, we didn't like that.
No.
But yeah.
I did. So I had this both during while we were actually investigating and also the overnight, and I got two things that were kind of weird.
Ooh.
One is an EVP that I think says Karen. It could say something different, but I think it says Karen.
Maybe Carrie.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie. Again.
Well, because, that's what I'm saying. Carrie has ties to the house. Doug Carrie. You knew that.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
I was picturing the ghost of Karen with her Karen haircut. And they're like, absolutely not. You may not.
You
may
not do this.
You better put that video camera down.
And then another point, which I don't know if I'll be able to isolate this, but I don't know what it says. Like it was movement that was maybe far away, but it sounded really up close. I'm really not sure. But I got the overnight from the second floor area, the Ouija board area. So we go to bed and Tony and his kids stayed up, but they just went into the white bedroom. Mm-hmm. So really nobody was out in the house, but I just hear various things. I think I hear distant talking, but I'm not sure if it was them. And I really can't in good faith say, oh, this is paranormal. Otherwise I hear, after I know that everybody's sleeping, I hear like clicking and thuds, and that's really it. I don't get any more good EVPs. Those are my good ones.
Okay.
I had the recording when we went to dinner of the main room upstairs on the Ouija board. Mm-hmm. I heard several knocking, banging, sounds like the wood's creaking close. And this is where I heard several vibrations on the recorder, like 30 minutes into it. So we were long gone by then, but I didn't get any voices. Okay, next up, we went to the white bedroom. We were all together in this room. And this is when we talked about the two figures on the SLS. Apparently, one of them looked like their head was missing.
What? You had a decapitated anomaly?
Decapitated SLS. And then it went onto the ceiling, like we mentioned.
Maybe it's the guy whose skull was downstairs.
Ooh.
And so he didn't have a head.
I mean, I'd be mad too.
Yeah.
Hey, I will say that Steve told us another story. Was this his experience? I can't remember. About somebody seeing the image of a child at the top of the stairs, or like having their hands on their fists like that at the top of the stairs.
Like their fist posed underneath their chin.
Yes. Yeah.
Like glamour shots, but
yeah.
Just on the top of the stairs. It was a little girl, right?
I can't remember. I just remember it being a child and that they saw it a couple of times. So,
interesting. Okay.
Who knows? These were not child-sized figures, though, on the box. The REM pod did go off at one point, and then Boydston killed a bug on my face.
No.
And I said, she's such a good friend. She goes,
gross. You slapped her.
Like you saw it?
Well, I kept going. There's like a bug on my face. And she goes, it's right here. I was like, thank you.
Thank you. Blood guts on my face.
I needed that, though. It was driving me nuts. That's all I got in the white room.
So you guys put a little recorder. You said this is in the hallway. There was a little basket. You put the recorder in there.
It was on
the floor?
I think it's where holy water went in this, like a basin under the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For a scrying room. Or the scrying mirror.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys are in there for the first 40 minutes. So we're just going to fast forward through that. And then you guys went to go investigate. I caught a couple taps here and there. I caught steps again, and then I caught a cough, a bark of a dog. I'm not sure.
Okay. I remember Steve telling us about a dog being there too. The spirit of a dog.
I wasn't sure what it was.
This was just a little bit of time we spent in the doll's room or children's room. It was 2:45 a.m. We must have been using the Spirit Box app because I can hear like a robotic voice saying Kim. And we were using the SLS camera. We didn't get anything on there. There are several dolls in there, as we've mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I think this is also when we were recording on the night vision camera because we were talking about how he looks stupid on the camera.
Okay.
We didn't really stay here very long. We were kind of ready for bed. It was almost 3. And I accidentally leave the recorder in the room for a couple of minutes. And I come back and I say, "Hi, recorder. It's me again. I forgot you.
Did you miss me?"
I'm sorry I forgot you. But I didn't get anything in there. Now, I will say Tony spent some time in there and he felt very connected to that room.
Okay.
So he says that the creepiest room, according to him and the boys, was the doll room, even more so than the room with the trigger items, which I think he's talking about downstairs with the headdress and all the bone room. I remember him saying that he spent several minutes in that room, 20, 30 minutes, and just kind of had like an overwhelming feeling in there. I didn't get that sense myself, but he felt very connected to that room.
Okay.
So yeah, let's move on to the last room of the night.
The red room. That's where we slept. Sarah and I shared a bed, which usually Sarah and Lindsay share a bed.
We do.
I have a question. Do you guys usually cuddle in the middle of the night?
No. We are back to back.
It is not my fault. Well, we were back to back.
Sarah tried to cuddle with me.
It is not my fault.
No, I vividly remember once that I tried to cuddle her because I was freezing and she kept like moving away from me. I was like, "Come back."
There was a dip in the mattress. And so
it was a used mattress.
I mean, our butts are always touching.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. So we ended up butt to butt a couple times, but every once in a while I woke up and we were like...
I have never woken up face to face with Sarah.
I was like, "Oh my God, I tried to scoot. I'm so sorry. So sorry I rolled into you."
But I'm a side sleeper and I normally don't move when I sleep, and I will look over sometimes when I wake up and she's either lying on her back in her vampire pose or she's turned away from me.
Not this time. I moved a lot. But yeah, I think...
Yes, I heard you guys moving a lot.
Yeah, sorry. Well, like I said, the bed had a dip in the middle and that's fine, but it did make us roll towards
inwards.
the center. Yeah, it was real cute.
It did. We cuddled.
So I caught this overnight, 6 hours of footage that was basically white noise because of the air conditioning units.
Yeah, we needed it to be chilly.
You guys went to bed, I'd say within like 30-ish minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And I asked them, what was your sleep like? What was your bathroom schedule like?
Right.
They said that neither one of them got out of bed.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I did catch footsteps many times. About an hour in, I got footsteps. I put footsteps. Were you guys moving around? And I asked about the bathroom because I kept hearing a door. And I was thinking, like, I'd hear footsteps and I'd hear a door. And I was like, okay, someone's getting up to go to the bathroom. But I wasn't hearing, like, people getting in and out of bed. So I caught footsteps. I said, were you guys moving around? And 5 seconds later, I hear a door. I hear other thuds now, too. And I thought I heard a growl, but it's just one of you snoring.
It was a growl, okay?
It was a very rhythmic growl.
I'm a dainty princess. I don't snore.
I haven't snored since I got my tonsils out.
It wasn't like a deep, like, throaty, like...
Oh.
Every once in a while, I'll do a random... and I'm like, oh, God. It startles me.
I caught a weird EVP about an hour and a half in that said, heh, 3 times. I told them I'm not sure if it was one of them because right after I hear it and it's like spaced out. It's not like a heh.
Right.
It was like a heh, heh, heh. And then one of you like shifted in your sleep and like rolled over. So I didn't know if maybe somebody was just dreaming, making some moans. I don't know. a little bit later, I said, do you guys talk in your sleep?
I don't think so.
Because I was catching, like, it was distant, again, because I have the white noise. And I could not hear at all what was being said, but it was some female voice that talked for about 10 seconds. I caught a couple of very faint EVPs that I cannot hear over I don't think you're going to be able to isolate them. At one point I put, Sarah, is that you talking? Were you awake? And then I caught 3 sneezes, like, spread out again. That could be the heh sound, but it sounded like a sneeze, like a quiet one.
It was on me.
So here is probably the weirdest part. They're about 25 minutes apart, so this is 188 minutes into this. Several hours is what I'm getting at. They are asleep. And it sounds like almost like a recording or like a spirit box or something. I thought it was like maybe their phones, because you guys both sleep with phones and headphones in. And they said like their headphones didn't come unplugged. It wasn't their phones going off. And it's only for like 3-4 seconds each time. But I caught that twice. And I don't know what it is. It's like a robotic voice.
That's really nice. That's really nice. That's really nice.
I thought it sounded creepy just knowing like we were sleeping, and if it was one of our headphones coming out of our ears, I personally wouldn't have noticed, and so you would keep hearing that noise. I don't think that it was something that we were listening to.
It almost sounded like a spirit box, but it was like so short I couldn't make out what it was saying.
Was there like movement afterwards or anything? So we were sleeping.
No, my next bang is 40 minutes after that. And maybe like 15 minutes before that, I thought I heard like a female EVP. Nothing around there. Then I start hearing a lot of bangs and footsteps and boots, and we kind of looked at the time, and I think this is when our investigators were getting up and moving around.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, we did set up a night vision in that room directed right at the closet, and weirdly, it shut off after like 15 minutes, which I had looked at the SD card and it's got lots of space on it. So it wasn't like it was too full. I know it had battery on it because I was able to turn it on in the morning. So it still had battery.
Yeah, because in the morning we thought it just died, but
right.
It didn't. Just shut off on its own.
Did you guys get any vibes while you were in that room?
No.
The only thing that happened is it was just kind of restless sleep. And I don't know if it's just because I was uncomfortable or kept running into Boydston. I will say, though, that my headphones kept shutting off on their own. It did that probably 3 or 4 times overnight, which is unique. I sleep with them all the time when we go to these places, and that has never happened. So I don't know. Whatever's in there is using energy from something.
Yeah. And I will say the footsteps that I heard before anybody got up in the room sounded like they were in the room with you guys.
Yeah. Which is a little creepy.
Right.
So what do you want to rate this place?
This is hard, and I feel like the more places we go, the more critical I'm being. So I feel like, we started out and there's high numbers, and then the more we go, the lower they are. I would rate it on a haunted rating, like a coolness rating, it's great.
Yeah.
On a haunted rating, I'd say like a 3.
Yeah, I was going to say 4.
That is low for you guys.
Well, it is. I didn't get any vibes. I wasn't feeling uncomfortable at all.
Right.
I think anything that we got sounds like it was probably residual. I also really enjoy that Steve and Judy acknowledge that sometimes they get nothing. And they're like, I think that's the beauty of actual haunted locations. It's like, it's not on command.
Yeah.
You can't just say, yeah, we've got a team here tonight and I hope something happens, because a lot of times nothing happens. And I think that's fine. I love that they acknowledge that. Like, sometimes we get nothing. Sometimes we're kind of freaked out. And so the night that we were there, we got nothing. But I think that Lindsay would really enjoy it. I'd like to go back. I'd like to go back during a time where you probably don't need an AC. So maybe in the fall or the spring, so that we won't have kind of that interruption in the audio. So I predict that there's probably a Brumley 2.0 that Lindsay can go and see, and then we can kind of see what other evidence we can get.
I think that would be great.
Yep. I liked that they mentioned that this is kind of their lab, and they use it to test different types of equipment out, or, you know, like she said, that sometimes they'll get things, sometimes they don't. So he can just kind of go and experience things or not. I believe that they've had their personal experiences. I believe that they actually happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
He did say he was a non-believer whenever he
Yeah.
bought the house, and now he's a believer.
Right. And so I always have to remind myself that we're just seeing a moment in time. We're only there for 12 hours, sometimes
Yeah.
less. And this house has been around for hundreds of years. So the time that we were there, I'd rate it a 4.
Okay.
I'd like to be able to go back and maybe we'll have a different experience and maybe not so much. And that's okay too. It doesn't mean that it's not. It just means that while we're there, maybe we don't bring the right type of energy for spirits to come out either.
Right.
But I think whatever is there is a residual type of haunting too. And it just kind of comes and goes about its business on its own.
Sounds like nothing malicious or anything.
I didn't
Right.
get that vibe at all. If there is something there like that, we didn't experience that.
Sounds good. I think we need to make a return to Brumley.
Let's do it.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, so much for tuning in this week to our haunted investigation of Brumley Castle. You can always find us at thetipsyghost.com with our socials linked from there, or you can send us an email at thetipsyghost@gmail.com.
Please give us a 5-star rating and a great review anywhere you listen to podcasts. We really appreciate it, and it really does help.
Shout out to Tony and his 2 kids that came along and did a guest ovation with us. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We will catch you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.